thousands of millions of them. What the hell are they doing?
Here we are today with something really special. I'm going to turn this into a 2-day build. This is something I've been 3D modeling, CAD modeling for about a month. Finally finished. This is the Independence Day Troop Transport. This is a companion piece to the Independence Day Alien Attacker. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the video description. Beautiful build-up. This build-up you're seeing on the screen right now was built by Craig Lee. Craig inspired me to 3D model this troop transport. So you'll see him build that, hopefully soon. Anyways, this is a very simple kit. It comes in 3 parts: the main hull, the secondary hull, and the mid hull. I printed this in 2 parts. I wanted a very large piece. Default scale is 17 inches. I increased that when I printed this to 133%, which is the maximum my Elegoo Jupiter was able to print these parts. So I've already done some work on this. I've joined the 2 halves for the top hull. This is still left as 2 pieces. That's just 1 piece. So all these parts are printed at 133%. Very large model. The only thing I've done on this kit so far is join the main hull, front and back. I still have a little bit of seam work left to do on this. And I also want to show you that I'm going to smooth this and how I do it. There's a little bit of tessellation with this model. It's just the nature of this. It's so curvy that when it prints, sometimes you'll have a little bit of the faceting. And just because there's thousands of pieces involved in this, these grooves are full of detail. This spine here is full of detail. So just the nature of this, it's going to need a little bit of post-work smoothing. I'm going to show you how I do that. This will be baby butt smooth, ready to paint in about half an hour. Prepping this lower hull is really easy. I like to just get rid of any kind of the support nubs by rubbing it on a flat surface with sandpaper. The surface, a little bit of tessellation, not very much. I'm just going to handle this for just a minute with a scuff pad. Makes the model look much better if you sand down any kind of surface imperfections, even if you're going on top with a modeled paint job, if you're going on top with more texture. Start smooth. Makes a big difference. What I have here is a standard body filler. I've got a little bit of acetone mixed into it just to thin it down, so I can spread this on as a really thin glaze. And I'm just going to push this in. We're going to sand it all flush, and you'll be able to see some of the lines as we go, which lets you know you're doing a nice job smoothing it out. Like I said, this isn't super pretty yet. It will be in about 10 minutes when I primer this. This was sanded using 220 at first, then 320, and then a polish at 500. Probably don't need to go this high, or even the 320, because this will all be covered up with texture. I engineered male and female keys. Here is your male end, here is your female end here in the center. So these key into each other. Same here to the hole. We've got a male, female on the front and back. Again, this is 1 piece. I cut it in half because I'm printing it a little bit larger. But you can see these key into position like this. And what I'm going to do is smooth out this flat surface, because you can see when it's assembled, a lot of this flat surface is visible. Before I start assembling anything, I'm going to embed a 1/4 inch nut, female nut. I think I'm going to do it right here in this flat spot. Embed it flush, and that's going to provide a mount for a base I'm going to make. Here's our mount hole. Our 1/4 inch female coupling is going to mount here flush, and I'll spot glue in there with a little bit of super glue, and then from inside, I'll back it up with some epoxy sculpt, maybe pour a little bit of resin in there. Female coupling is in place, tacked in with super glue. Really careful not to get the super glue into the thread, and then backed up back in here with epoxy sculpt. I think what I might do to stiffen this up even more is pour in some resin, slosh it around, maybe cover up these holes, slosh some resin in there to really secure it. I backed this up with a little bit of Smooth Cast 300, kind of sloshed it around. I made sure that these holes were sealed up. You can see where that all thread comes in to mount. My base is simply a piece of 1/2 inch ply. One of these little camera mounts, Amazon, 10 of them for $6. A piece of all thread and 2 of these 1/4 inch couplers, and a little nut to lock that top nut. Alright, let's go ahead and start adhering parts. First, I'm going to put the lower hole onto its key right here. I'm using a standard extra thick Maxi Cure. I don't want to overdo it. I'm just going to put just a bit across here on the key, maybe a tiny bit here. That should be enough. Go ahead and seat it. That key is really handy. There's no mistakes. It goes right in. You want to work pretty quick with this super glue. Make sure everything is lined up, because it will cure pretty fast. So I've got this lined up properly. Again, a little spray kicker. I'm addressing this gap now, the seam line gap. There was a little bit of tolerance with the way the upper hole was cut in half, the way I assembled it. I had just a little bit, a few millimeters off, a little bit longer I think as I attached it, so I've got a little bit of a gap here, and I'm addressing that with my favorite Magic Sculpt. It's a part A and B epoxy sculpt, epoxy putty I should say. And what I did is I just mixed A and B. I balled it up, made a snake out of it, pushed the snake with a wooden sculpting tool into the seam line. And this is so textured that I'm finding it really easy to make everything blend if I just kind of push it around, fill that seam line, take away excess, and then what's left here I'm just stippling, following the grooves and poking in texture. I gotta say, I am pretty impressed. That seam line virtually just disappeared because it's so busy. There's so much happening here. It went away. Okay. While building this, I handled this a lot, and I ended up knocking off some of these antennae. In the 3D print, 3D model, there's more of these antennae. So some of them came off. It'll happen to you too. I mean, this is upscaled to 133%. So at 100%, you're likely to knock off some of these little side antennae that go onto the flat part here. I decided to include in the files a little greebly pack, and I've got a bunch of these. You can upscale them, downscale them. I've got also a couple strips. If you wanted to, you could customize this, kind of make it your own, and add strips. You can shrink these, you can enlarge them. So I'm going to spend a few minutes gluing a few more of these guys down. Seems like there's I knocked a few off here, and I can trim these. I can sand some of that down and make just the stick so that they don't look so repetitive. But yeah, I'm going to spend a few minutes just gluing down a few extras. It's pretty sparse back here, but here seems to be a little bit more loaded. You can see where I added antenna. I put a little greebly right here. I felt like it could use that. Things always look different compared to, in real life, compared to your 3D model on the monitor. So I figured this would look cool. I added a little strip right here. Looks kind of cool. I think this is ready for primer and moving on to texturing. I ran a couple texture tests. This one was done with epoxy sculpt, which is essentially a acrylic paste. I mixed sand in with this. This one was done without sand. I'm going for a really minimal texture. I want to make sure that this thing keeps an enormous scale. This one also, this little section here was done with the sculptor coat by itself, no sand. And the nice thing about this stuff is you can knock it down. So if you knock it down, you get little ledges, and that's kind of what this texture looks like. Real fine, small texture, much like the Independence Day Alien Attacker. Here is Sculptor Coat. I've had this can for about 15 years. I don't think they make this anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they don't. It's basically an acrylic compound, an acrylic paste. It's really like a thickened paste. You can get here with acrylic paint mixed with baby powder. I'd like to get a random texture on this. I'm just using a wadded up paper towel. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of this on this paper towel. Kind of keep wadding this up into random patterns, and I'm going to rotate my wrist as I put this on here so I don't duplicate any pattern, and I'm just going real light. That's a little heavy to me. You can always knock this down later with sandpaper. Everything turns clear once it's cured. I am pretty happy with this texture. I know it's going to be kind of hard to capture this on film, but it doesn't defy the scale. It's a really nice small scale texture. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. To get inside some of these harder to reach spaces, I'm using a chip brush. Just to introduce a tiny bit of this texture on this flat area. And here's the result of that texturing. Very minimal, very low. I might knock down a few of these high spots. I got a couple high spots here. This will all blend in with that special paint job I'm going to give this. This is our paint palette for this project. Of course, white and black, brown. We could mix those three, get a whole lot of earth tones. We have a yellow. Might not use the yellow. We have some green and blue for doing some patina. We have a few metallics over here, a blue. I'm not sure if this is going to shift towards the blue or the green tone. Not sure yet. It's going to be a lot of gray. I'm applying this with a chip brush, and I've got a couple sea sponges. Let's get cracking. We're going to start this paint job off with just black and white. A paper plate serves as my palette, and I'm going to dip in and out of this and just create a mottled base coat. This is just an undercoat, but I want it to be uneven, stipply. I gave this a clear coat, just a standard Rust-Oleum clear coat, just so if I make any goofs I could wipe off the paint, go again, and I'll still have this base coat. So this is really cool. As is, this is a really cool look. I mean, this is pretty neat. but that's just our base coat. We haven't even started yet. So I'm going in with some color from the reference shots. It looks like we've got some green tone, lighter green and gray and blues, but more green here on this bottom half to here, and then this top shell is more darker blue with green patina. Down below, we're going to be dry brushing earth tones and I think silvers, a little bit of green here. There's a lot going on. So we're going with white. I'm going to bring out some blue. I also have a little bit of water, and I'm switching to my 1-inch chip brush. And I'm just going to come in here. I want this paint to be translucent. So I'm just going to play a little bit with some of this color. Green, blue. I'm going to dab off a lot of it and maybe start seeing what it looks like in here. Like it, and taking a little bit more of that paint off. It's a very organic paint job. No solid lines, no solid one color of anything. It's just all over the place. To introduce some of this green in here, I think I'll go with some of the straight green. And the beauty of that clear coat is I can get water and take all this off if I wanted to. See, I made a big goof right there. I could just wipe it and go. I think I might get a little bit of blue, darker blue. I think what I may do is take a sea sponge. I'm going to wet the sea sponge. Steal some of this color. See what this looks like. Liking it, liking it. Not a whole lot of color here, but I think I will introduce a little bit, just as some little base pops. I'm going to be bringing a lot more blue up top. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'm just going to go back and forth here with blues and greens, mixing them fluid with white and black, getting those grays mixed up with this. Ooh, that's nice. See, I'm getting a little bit of blue. I don't know if you can see any of this, but I'm getting a little bit of blue flake in here, which is nice. And we just keep at it. I'm back to my 1-inch chip brush, and I'm just going to give some highlights. I've got a little more blue than green loaded on the brush. And I'm just going to dab this on here. Get some breakup. Loving this contrast back here. This is after stippling 2 or 3 layers, maybe 4 layers, going back and forth with the sponge. The chip brush, keeping the paint really loose. Got some really cool hot spots. I think it might need a little more contrast on the top, because I'm seeing some good contrast. So I might go in with a really dark green over the top. Not a whole lot here. This is almost finished here. Again, at this stage, I'm loving all of that calico spotting. I'm going to preserve this with a clear coat. So no matter what happens from now on, I can always return back to that base. I can spill a jar of paint on this, and I can bring it right back to where we are right here. I am mixing up an earth tone. This is white, medium brown, and a touch of yellow. I'm going to get most of this paint off. See what that gives us. We'll do a little bit of dry brushing here. I'm going to make this a little bit looser. Less paint, more water. I think this will benefit from an oil wash. I mean, if I'm going this light with the dry brushing, I think I might go in with a little bit of oil to deepen this up, increase that contrast, play with those negative colors. I'm bringing this earthy tone into the body a little bit. So I really like the highlight it provides. I dabbed on a bit more contrast here on the top shell with dark green. Let me show you. It's black with some of this forest green I have. And this really doesn't do it justice. This camera is not picking up the blues or the greens. It's just, but in person, this is looking really amazing. It's going to be hard to see what I'm doing. I've got some oil paint mixed up here. With oil thinned down with mineral spirits. And I'm going to come in and start shadowing some of these deeper grooves. Big difference already. Not everywhere, just some of these deeper grooves. This is very loose paint, so I'm just going to wash it in and let it dry out, and we'll have a little bit more contrast here on the spine. Here it is, guys. I'm going to include some still photos because the video camera footage just, it doesn't look to me like it's showing these colors properly. Very desaturated. But anyways, I'm really happy with this look. It's so organic. This chip almost looks like it's alive. With all these colors. And the detail that I labored on for weeks, hundreds of hours poured into it, really paid off. Its detail is incredible. The texture, really cool. What a fun project. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoy this kind of content, check out my channel. I've got something like 22 years of build-ups on this channel. So if you like the content, subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.